I suspect, have already gone in and taken a peek. So I'm going to give you an explanation of how the website works and how you can get the most out of it. So here in the middle is this section called, featured content in green, and it's got 3 different items. So featured content are the 3 most recent pieces of information that Susanna and I, as the ICCR staff, are sharing with everyone who is a member of our coalition. So these are things that we think will be of interest. So they are, of course, not only press releases and articles, but also this might be the agenda for the upcoming ICCR conference. This might be a new sign-on letter opportunity that you may want to join. And how it works is that the one at the top is the most recent, and then it's slightly older. And then if you want to take a look at slightly older material, you can go take a peek through the View All link. And then over here on the left, we've got this thing called Action Alerts. So Action Alerts is both time-sensitive items like sign-on opportunities. So often we will do sign-on letters, let's say, targeting maybe 100 companies, asking them to commit to lowering their greenhouse gas emissions. And we will ask investors and institutions to sign on by a particular date. So I typically park that sort of thing over here on the left. And then also, here on the left is something called 2017 Proxy Season Successes. So when we work together as a coalition, we work to change and affect corporate behavior. And so sometimes we get so busy in the work, it can be hard to sort of remember all of the successes that we've had so far. So I've been doing some sort of season summaries, wrap-ups, if you were, of our success on food, healthcare, human rights, and climate. So if you want to check that out, you can go there. Also, we have our list of monthly conference calls here. So all of you are welcome and actually encouraged to join us on our standing monthly issue conference calls. So we have a monthly call on human trafficking. We have a monthly call on food, on water, on health, finance, and so forth. And really, those are one of the best ways that you will find out what the latest sort of collaboration opportunities are on those different issue areas. And then also how that particular part of the field is evolving, what the trends are, what it's most important to know. So keep your eye on that space. I also have some how-to sort of educational things that you may want to check out. If you are looking to file a shareholder resolution, or if you're a bit intimidated about the process and are trying to figure out, okay, what is a resolution? How does it work? Should I file one? When do I file? What's required? Check out my little guide on how to file a resolution. Again, it's parked here on the left. We have a guide for new members, so all the benefits and sort of help and the information that you can expect to receive from us, the ICCR staff, when you join. So that's the guide. And then I have the sort of the general shareholder advocacy, like little roundup of toolkitty items, sort of handy things that you may want to know. So that is my little brief view of the homepage. And now I want to talk to you briefly about ICCR's priority groups. So the old joke about ICCR is that we never met an issue that we didn't like. If there's an important social issue, we are working on it, or have worked on it, or will work on it. We just can't stop. However, we do organize the work underneath our program staff. So we have program directors who basically take charge of and direct the work of a particular program. And so every 5 years, we meet together as a coalition, as a body, and decide what are the 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 issues that we are going to work on for the next 5 years. We may sunset some issues and bring some other issues up. So this is our current list underneath the priority groups. You see climate change, health, financial practices, food, and so forth. So to really get involved in our work, to learn more and to do more and to have impact, we strongly encourage you to join one or more of these priority groups. When you join a group, that's how the program staff person over here knows that you are interested in the work and knows to send you an alert about the next standing call on that issue, and to send you like background materials, research, and so forth. So this helps us find you and send you the information that you need. So what I want to show you next, though, is how to go about customizing your profile. So by now, all of you should have access to both the ICCR's members area and the database, but I don't think that many of you have yet had a chance to fill out your profile. So to do that, You want to go again to the top menu, pick My Stuff, and then My Profile. So this is an incredibly unattractive page because there's not a lot of information here. This is my little test user name, and there's the sad gray icon with no picture. So right now we have almost 800 users in the members area. That's a lot of people. So we always encourage people to add a picture to their profile when they can, because that just helps all of us figure out who we are faster, because we only meet together face-to-face, all of us, about twice a year. So let me show you quickly how to add a picture. So on your profile page, go underneath your gray person icon and look for Edit My Profile. So I'm going to click on that and then scroll down. So also on the screen, you can fill in your address if it's not already filled out. You can also change your address. So I just start typing Suite 1842, New York. And then in the state field, it's slightly different. It's got this little gray wheelie thing on the right that basically tells you that it is an auto-complete field. In other words, it will help you complete the field as you start typing. So I'm going to start typing new, and there it is. It tells me what my choices are, and then I pick New York, and then zip. And then here in the middle of the page is the picture field. I'm gonna add a picture so you guys can see what I look like. So I'm going to go and add that one, and then I'm gonna come down and save my changes. So I've saved, and I'm gonna go back to my account, and there I am. So even though I don't have a camera on my monitor, at least you can see this charming little office picture of me on the side. So that's how to update your profile. So I want to start showing you really quickly how to join an ICCR issue group. So I'm going to take my mouse over to priority groups, and I'm going to pick on food real quick. So I'm going to click on food. This takes me to the food homepage, and then I'm going to go over to the right-hand side, the right-hand column, about midway down the page. Underneath group menu is this little button that says join. So I'm going to click that. And it says, are you sure you want to join Food Justice? Yes, yes I am. So I'm going to click join to join. And I'm now a member of Food Justice. So joining is pretty simple. Now let me show you how the ICCR homepage changed as a result of what I just did. So when I first brought us to this page, the region below what's new in your groups was completely empty. There wasn't anything here. However, the website is smart, and the more that you tell the website about what you are interested in, the issues that you personally are interested in, the issues that your community is working on, the more it can tailor the information to your needs. So I joined food, and now it's showing me the 3 most recent pieces of information about what we as a coalition are doing on food justice. So the newest, slightly older still. And of course, each of these is a link, right? I could go directly to the dialogue notes template, or of course I can go back to food justice just by clicking on the word food justice, right? So that's how and why you would want to join a group. But then also, let me show you one other thing that you can do to stay on top of what the ICCR community is doing on food, is doing on human rights, and on water. So now that I've joined a group, I am going to sign up to get notifications every time there's something new that has been added in food so that I don't miss it. So to do that, I'm going to take my mouse back up to the top, and I'm going to go over to my stuff, and I'm going to go back to my profile. So, come in, here we are. So I'm on my profile, and then I'm going to look underneath my picture. I'm going to go to the last link under my picture that says notification settings, and I'm going to click that. So I apologize for this page. It's a little bit cryptic. It's got lots of text, not a lot of explanation. It says slightly confusing things like content type in group. But the only things that you need to worry about on this page are the final button on the right that says add subscription. So I'm going to click that, And then I'm going to click the first thing underneath that says content type in group. And then here it shows me a screen with a couple of different pickers. So food justice is already visible, right? So all I have to do is click add. And then now the screen is changed to say that my subscription has been saved. And then I'm going to review and click right here on subscriptions. So this shows me all the things that I've just signed up for, right? So, you know, if there is a new wiki, like a collaborative working document that's created in food justice, I'll know about it. If Nadira posts a new event about food, I'll know about it. And the same thing with the documents, discussions, polls, and blogs. So, you know, what happens is that you'll get an email in your inbox every time that there's something new. And whenever someone makes an update, let's say Nadira creates a food justice event and she changes the date or time. So when she changes that event, you'll also get notified, right? So that you don't always have to come back to the members area and log in and go to food to find out what's happening. The website will, in essence, tap you on the shoulder and say, hi, here's an important change that you need to know about. Also, if down the road, let's say that you've signed up to 6 groups and you've signed up to get notifications of all 6 groups, and you may realize that, okay, getting maybe too many emails, you can come back to this subscription screen and drop, you know, any notifications that you may be getting too many of. So in other words, you know, you can sign up and then you can manage, you know, the number and kind of emails that we send you so that you don't at any point feel overwhelmed. So the next thing I want to do is to show you how to find and contact people at ICCR. So now I've talked to you a bit about, you know, what the groups are, how to navigate through them. But let's say that you were interested in talking to the ICCR staff person in charge of food, or you wanted to get in touch with me and you had a question about the website. So how might you do that? So I'm going to come back up to the top. And this time I'm going to waggle my mouse over community. And then underneath community, I am going to pick members. So here is the sort of alphabetical members directory. So every one of us here. And as you can see over here from the side, there's 791 of us here in the members area. So those are a lot of people. And of course, you could use the alphabetical nav and sort of like look on the P's and then go to the W's, but that is not your best way to go forward and find the person that you're looking for. I suggest instead that you pick the filter underneath the alphabetical key. So I'm going to open up filter, and you can do things like search by first name or search by role. So if you want to find the staff, for instance, me, you can go to role and click on ICCR staff, and then to the right, hit apply. And so here we are. And then, of course, I am on the second page, right? And so to contact me, so that's how to find one of us, right? So to contact just, and also this goes for really anyone in the site, anywhere you see a person's picture or their picture icon in their name, just go ahead and click on the picture, right? And then to the right, again, under their picture, there will be a contact link. So just click contact. And there we go. We've got, this looks like an email screen because it works just like an email screen. So put in a subject, test, 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 and then you can send email. So that's how easy it is to contact someone. So I'm going to go back to that screen to show you a couple of other things that you can do. So back up to the top. So in addition to filtering by role, you can also search by name. So let's take a look and see if there are any other Julies in the organization. You can just type in a name at the left, and then again choose apply. Yeah, and we should have our own like Julie gang. There are, I think, officially enough Julies at ICCR that we could have our own little like Julie army. I'll see if Josh, our CEO, will be down with that. So another filter that you can use is the city or the state filter. So the state, again, that will help auto-populate. So the reason why I point this one out is that every every year, every spring and summer, companies have their annual general meetings, right? And so they're in different states. So let's say that you were planning on attending a meeting, a corporate meeting, or maybe a dialogue, and you realized at the last minute that you were not going to be able to attend, and you needed someone in that city to maybe attend the shareholder meeting for you. But you're like, okay, how do I find people in Texas? I don't travel to Texas. Do I know anybody in Texas? So you can use, as I mentioned, we have nearly 800 people. You can use the state search function to find just the people in a particular state. You can use them to find people in a particular city. So depending upon what you were doing and what kind of help you need, you may find that to be a little useful function. And so those are two ways to contact people. Let me show you the third way to contact people. So earlier I showed you how to join a group. So I'm going to go to my stuff, my groups. And so we had joined food justice. I'm going to click on food justice. So I am now a member of this group, and let's say I found a really interesting article on antibiotics in animal agriculture and how this impacts human health, right? So maybe the New York Times came up with a new article that I wanted to share, or there was a new report, or maybe there was something happening in my local community that I thought it was important to tell everyone who works on food justice about. So to do that, on the food justice homepage, or the health homepage, or the human rights homepage, look for the middle tab in gray that says contact, right? So I'm going to click on that. And then this looks just like an email screen, because it works, again, just like email. As before, you type in a subject, test, 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 and then type in your message, hi there. And then you can send an email. And doing this, and I'm not going to do this because I don't want to spam accidentally everybody who's in the food group, but doing that would send an email message to everyone in the food group, right? So that you don't have to go through one by one by one by one and copy and paste everyone's email addresses, because depending upon the group, and food is one of our most active groups, there may be 100 to 150 people in that group working on the issue, right? So we save you time and finger pain by allowing you to contact everyone through the contact tab, right? So other important pieces to know about the site. Also under the community tab, we have this events tab, so community events. So, if you're a part of the ICCR coalition and you are thinking about attending a webinar, or that there's an ICCR conference coming up and you're like, wait, I could have sworn there was something to do about the SEC in December. The events tab, right? So community events gathers up all the events, all the webinars, and all the calls that we have going on at one time. So each of the priority pages, like the food and the climate change, they have their own events. When you go to their page, you go to the food page, you see food only events. When you go to the climate page, you see climate only. But here, this is the broad community-wide calendar. So I'll click on an event and you can see, there's even more, background here. You can see who the speakers are, the time. There's a registration link, right? So always, keep your eye on that calendar for what's coming up. And then of course you can also scroll forward through the year and back. So I do encourage you to take a look at the calendar. So another thing I want to point your attention to, I'm going to go back briefly to the home page. So another thing that I wanted to point out is when we have our face-to-face conferences, if you are, I think some of you might have attended an ICCR conference in the past, but we meet together as a body twice a year here in New York City face-to-face. And so we often post registration links for it, and it would appear here under featured content. And then we start posting agenda items, background reading, again, under featured content. And then I will also send those out to you through the members bulletin. So at the end of today's session, if there are any of you who have not yet received a members bulletin, I send them out every 2 weeks, and it's a quick roundup of news. Please let me know, and I can add you to the list to make sure that you're getting it. It's a handy way to keep up with what's going on here at ICCR. So I want to, at this point, switch gears briefly and talk to you about the Shareholder Actions database. So the way to get to the Shareholder Actions database is, oh, yes, go ahead, Frank.
Why don't we break here and allow questions on what you've presented so far before you
Great.
into the database. And one question I have is, if you you mentioned if you come across an article or a report of interest that you want to share with your work group or issue group, you showed us how to email it. How do you post it on the website so that people can, you know, post a link or a notice to the work group on the website?
Sure, thank you. That's a great question. So I will show everyone how to do that here. So I'm going to go back to my stuff, my groups, or even faster, since now the groups that you have joined show at the bottom of your homepage. I'm just going to click on food justice here, right? And if I had joined multiple groups today, it would be food justice, and then health, and then human rights, right? So I'm going to click on food justice. So this is the food justice homepage. At the top, there is this thing called the shout box. So this is sort of a short form communication. So if you had a question, you could ask it here. The one thing to notice about shouts, or two things, is that they are short, right? So like a brief sentence here, you can add a link. However, when you do a shout, that does not trigger an email to all the other 150 members of the food group. It basically, what it will be seen though when people log into the members area and go to the food homepage and take a look at what is new. So if you want to do something that gets more eyeballs faster, you need to post a document. So to do that, go over to the right past shout, keep going right. So right over here, you see this thing that says blog entry, and it's a drop-down menu, and it's got document, event, wiki, and then create beside it. So what you want to do is click on document, and then choose the create button, right? So this takes us to a new screen. So what you see here there are a couple of boxes. There's a title field, and so let's pretend for the moment that this is an access to medicine's report. So give it a title and then say something about it in the body field. So you always want to sort of describe things, give a little bit of context, so that those who are not necessarily experts on a particular issue can appreciate why the document, the report, the background, or the talking points memo, et cetera, that you are sharing is important. You know, for instance, the Access to Medicines group is one of the leading sort of like benchmarking agencies in the field of medicines like healthcare, drug pricing, availability, right? So every time they release a report, that's a biggie. But again, I would want to sort of describe that context here in the body field briefly so that other people can understand why this is something they might want to read and sort of its significance. You could also post an entire document here in the body field, right? You just do Control V to paste, but you don't have to, but at least write like a little sentence of some sort. So then you can do other things here. You can bold it, you know, you can italicize, and you can you know, underline. So a lot of these buttons at the top of this box look like Microsoft Windows or Microsoft Office and Word, right? Because that's exactly what it's doing. It allows you the same sort of, you can add bullets, you can indent. It operates just the same way. You can also highlight something and then, you know, add a link, for instance, if you want to like link to something outside on the web. Oops, cancel, not linking today. So once you've added your title, given a brief description in the body, now you can come down and upload your document. So under here, under the left, there's a series of little tabs in gray. Click on the Upload tab, the second one, right? So it's got your typical sort of like pick your file here. I could do press and then upload, right? And let's say that you are posting, Well, I'll sort of narrate from perhaps Frank's point of view. Let's say Frank is convening a meeting and he is describing the meeting in the body field above, and he's posting both the agenda for the meeting and two pieces of background reading that he would like you guys to cover before joining him on the call, let's say next month. So he can stay on the same screen, you can stay on the same screen and keep adding multiple items, right? So you don't have to necessarily post 3 documents, do it 3 different times. You can just keep adding all the things together in one post that you would like people to take a look at, and you just navigate, upload, right? So, and the other thing I will point your attention to on this, create a document screen is underneath groups is this little box called notifications. So I'm going to click on that. And when you click on it, there's this thing that says, do not send notifications for this update, and it is unchecked. So earlier, after I showed you how to join a group and after I showed you how to sign up for notifications, this little box is what triggers those notifications, right? So if you were posting a document for the first time and you do the upload and then you click save, when you click save, doing that is what sends the email notifications out to everybody who's in that group. So, right? So it helps them keep track. It lets them know that you've done something brand new that they should go to the website and check out. However, if you've posted something and then you realize maybe you made a typo, maybe you misspelled sentence with 14 E's instead of, 1 E at the end, and you're like, okay, that is terrible. I should really fix that, right? So when you go back and edit, when you edit to make a small, like a grammatical correction like that, do check they do not send notifications for this update, right? Because you don't want all 150 members of the food group knowing that you just fixed an E in your post, right? However, if you are, let's say, changing the call-in number for a call that you are hosting, or you're having a meeting on food justice, and the date or the time has changed, then you would definitely want to leave this unchecked, right? So that people would know that there was a real substantive change that did happen related to that call or to that meeting, right? So I just mentioned those 2 differences because a lot of us in the ICCR community rely on these auto notification emails to know when there's new stuff going on that they should check out. And it can be confusing to get emails, like maybe 2 or 3 emails in a row if you were like, fine-tuning your language and you realize that, you need to correct a spelling there. People could be like, okay, I just saw this. Why am I seeing it again? So, just be wary that if you're like making little like itty-bitty little corrections, then check this so that you don't accidentally push out those notifications when you didn't mean to. And then you can preview your work. I'm not going to click save because then I'd have to go back and clean this up and take it out since it's not a real document. But that is how you would share a document within a particular group, right? So you would share things related to food within food justice. And then if you have something bigger, like if you were doing an event that you want to invite all 791 people to, or if you've got a new article that relates to sort of all investors or shareholder advocacy in general, let me know, because Susanna and myself have little special buttons on our side that we can use to feature your thing here on the ICCR homepage underneath featured content, right? So we can get you more attention, get you more readers, and then I will also include it in the members bulletin, right? So when you want more people to see your stuff, just let me know, and I'm happy to promote it for you. So
okay, thank you, Julie. Let's open it up now. Before you go into the database, are there, if anyone has a question, they can unmute themselves, or you can type it into the chat and I will give it to Julie. So you can unmute yourself again, the lower left-hand side of your screen, you see a microphone that mutes and unmutes by clicking that. So anyone on the line want to ask a question, go ahead.
I guess we're good. Do you see anything coming in, Frank?
No, I don't have any written questions. So, Julie, why don't you go ahead and maybe more questions will come in as you go through the data or the database area.
Okay, great. All right, so transitioning us to the shareholder actions database. So, you know, to distinguish between the members area that I've just shown you through in the shareholder database, the members area is where you would sign up to work on a particular issue, right? Climate change or water or food. And the database is where you go to sign up to work on a particular issue at a particular company. Let's say you want to work on drug pricing with Abbott or Bristol Myers Squibb. You would sign up to work with a particular company and a particular team of people in the database. So I'm going to click on the database here. So again, on the homepage under Shareholder Actions Database in green, there is a click here link in blue. So this takes you to the basic search screen. So I'm going to put 2018 in the year field. And so some of you on the webinar may be thinking, okay, why did this crazy person just put 2018 in the year field when it's still 2017? So this is my little segue to talk about the corporate calendar. So when we work as a coalition with corporations, much of what we do follows what they do. And corporations that are publicly traded in the US have two major deadlines that sort of set the deadlines for much of what we here as a coalition do. So the first of these deadlines is the filing deadline. So it is the deadline by which if you are filing a shareholder resolution on, say, health or climate change or water or food, the deadline by which you must get your materials to the company, right? So the dates are different for every company, and each company changes its filing deadlines every year. So it's kind of a moving target. For the most part, they always occur in the fall, right? So this fall is the height of the current filing seasons. We're sending all these materials into the company in 2017, but we're sending them in time for next year's corporate annual general meetings, right? So we are aiming for basically meetings that are going to be taking place in April, May, June, and then a few more in July of next year. So that's why when you come to the ICCR database in the fall of 2017, you enter 2018 to see the full list of actions that we are going to be engaging in for next year, because the companies follow this funny sort of off-season schedule, right? So for 2018 spring, we start working now. And wowzers, are we busy. Okay, so this is everything that we are currently doing presently and for 2018. So there is a little handy counter over here to the left. 419 actions, 419. We are a busy bunch. So this is a big list sorted alphabetically by company name, right? So we have everything here from, climate change, drug pricing, fracking, sustainability, right? Big list. Over on the right, you see things that say dialogue, things that say nothing. So if it doesn't have anything here in the field, that means that it is a shareholder resolution that is under consideration, that is in the process of being filed or has been filed. And then the blue means that is a corporate dialogue. So we are engaging in a series of face-to-face dialogues with corporate representatives on the particular issue. So let's take a look at an action and sort of see a little more about what is involved. So I'm going to come up here to the top of the page. Let's check out, let's say, the Ameren business plan for 2C warming scenario and see what that is all about. So click on the action name, not the company name at this point, just the action name, right? And so what this has is, so this big orange box at the top is sort of the key essentials, if you will. So it's got the company name, the action that is being undertaken by our coalition, and then it's got the deadlines, right? The things to keep in mind. So this one is the filing deadline for next season's AGM, and it's 11/15/17. 2017, right? So you know that the deadline has already, passed for filing. So if you're interested in this action, you can still sign up, and that the lead filer can sort of keep you in the loop, but you won't be able to actually file yourself because the deadline has already come and gone. And then once we have the AGM date for next year for 2018, we will also put it here. And then also the person in charge of this particular action at this particular company on this particular topic is Mary Minette of Mercy Investment Services, and this is her phone, and this is her email. And occasionally we'll have 2 people sharing the lead or 3 people sharing the lead, because leading on an engagement in a company can be a lot of work. You have to coordinate with all the shareholders, you have to coordinate with the company, you have to prepare an agenda, you have to figure out what your criteria for success are. And so sometimes 2 people will collaborate on doing that sort of management work. And then also Mary gets support over here at the ICCR staff side from our climate change program director, Christina Herman, right? And you can also email Christina from here. You can email Mary from here. And then below the green box in the middle is this list of players, right? So Mary Minette is leading this action, and these are the other people who have signed up to join her at Ameren on 2 degrees C for this year, right? So this is a live sort of action record. And so if you look at this and you're like, hey, that sounds really interesting and I would like to join up, you can do that by clicking this sign up button, right? So I'm going to click sign up, and I'm going to scroll down, and look, all of a sudden, there I am. It's added me to her record, right? So what happens then as a result is that I sign up, Mary gets an automatic email saying, hey, Julie just signed up to your action, so that Mary knows to get in touch with me and keep me in the loop as to what is going on at Ameren. However, we have noticed that a lot of our lead filers, right, tend to be the lead filer at a number of companies, which means they're often very busy. So it's always good practice as well after you sign up to go ahead and email Mary and say, hey, I just joined your action. I'd really like to be kept in the loop when you're getting ready to schedule your first, call with this company on this topic, right? So you can go ahead and reach out to her. Also, you'll notice here, since I've clicked sign up, the sign up button has now changed to remove me. So if you realize, oops, I joined that action and that was actually not the action that I wanted to join, I wanted to join the AES action, you can, with one click, remove yourself. And it says, do you really want to? I say, yes, I do. And now I'm taken off the action, right? So it's really super simple to join an action. It's really super simple to take yourself off. And then I want to show you 2 other things here. So if you are indeed at the point where you are ready to explore filing a shareholder resolution, remember to send me a copy of your letter and your resolution, and then I, on my side, will enter that yes, you have filed this resolution, and then I will also enter for you the number of shares that your institution held when you filed that resolution, right? Because if you come here, you may be like, okay, I can't make it work. There's no link here. So that just simply means that that's something that I, as a staff person, will do for you. And the other thing I will show you about this particular screen now is this big box, this long box in the middle of green. So this is our dialogue note section, right? So throughout the year, we may meet with a company like Ameren twice or maybe 3 times, depending upon how things are going at that company. Maybe one of them is a face-to-face, and maybe 2 of them are by phone. And so what you see here is a whole history of engagement that we have had at this particular company on any topic. So it reads from left to right. So the most recent company engagement was back on March 17th. Then we had one a year before that in May of 2016. And then we went back to 2015. We were a little more active in 2015 and 2014. So this middle part is sort of like date by date by date. So most recent, slightly older, and then summarizes, okay, what did we talk to this company about? Carbon disclosure, so we were talking about climate change. You can also see what the obstacles were going into the meeting, what the next steps are, what does the company promise to do, and who the corporate representatives in the room were. Also, several instances, the person leading the engagement, see where I'm waggling my mouse over the view notes field, will have added his or her notes, minutes, basically from the meeting, like what did the corporation say? What did we say in the room? How did it go? So you can take a look at that. So also, the system is flexible. You don't have to be participating. You don't have to even have been signed up for the Amarin action to take a look at all this good stuff. So in other words, you can come here and learn and sort of see what's going on in Amarin. And also, you don't even have to be engaging Amarin on, climate change. If you're working with them on food, you can see all the climate change and all the food notes. So it's all grouped together here in one space. So that is how to have both sign up and then sort of see what is happening on a particular corporate engagement. So I think this might be another good spot for questions, and then I might just cover one or two more things about the database. So Frank, do you want to see if there's anything in the queue?
Yeah, so if you have a question, please unmute yourself and you can ask the question, or you can put it into the chat question area and I can relay your question. Julie, I'll start. Mm-hmm. Let's say you had a dialogue or you had, say, an important correspondence with a company and you wanted to add that to the database. Can you show us how to add notes or record of a meeting with a company to the database?
Sure. And right before I do that, I want to show you a couple of other tips to make your searching a little easier, to sort of drill down on the information. Because I do think that the list of like nearly 500 actions can be intimidating, and you might look at that and feel a little bit overwhelmed. So I always suggest that you maybe sort of narrow what you're looking at by issue. So we have a working group menu here. So if you were just interested in like just climate change, you could pick just the climate change issue and then hit search. And so it's 80, right? So it's a smaller amount. It's still a lot that you could do on this particular topic, but you can see just the climate change. Likewise, you can pick just the food and then search for that 62, right? And then also, interestingly, our food group is really dialogue driven. They engage in sort of dialogues, face-to-face meetings with companies rather than filing resolutions. Also, the last thing I'll show you here is this handy little box, only show actions added since my last visit. So if you're trying to find, if you go in for the first time and really look at this list and sort of make notes of like maybe like three companies and 3 engagements that you want to join, and then you come back like 2 weeks later and you're having to dig through like 500 actions again to make sure that maybe you haven't missed anything that you want to take part in, you can click this, only show actions added since my last visit, and that'll show you just the new stuff, right? So that you don't have to dig through all 500 to find something new. So now, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So now I'm going to show how to do what Frank requested earlier, which is add notes for a particular company. So let's say that I'm looking at the AES business plan record, right? So so you see that there's not a lot added here. You don't even have to add recent notes. You can add more historical notes, but I bet you would be adding something more recent. So in this green box, right, not a lot of information, but above the green box is this little button that says Add Edit Notes. So go ahead and click that, Add Edit Notes, and then this takes you to our little picker screen. So it defaults to whatever company that you were looking at, but you can also scroll down and pick another company if you needed to. And then so it'll pop up date picker here. You could say, yes, we talk on 3rd in person, or perhaps this was a conference call. And then these are sort of free write fields. In other words, you could just start typing Sheila Adamson, CIO, and then issues covered. Were you talking about water? Were you talking about climate change? And then you can go into more detail. And then what were you asking for this meeting? What did you ask the company to do? What were the key outcomes from this meeting? What obstacles remain? What are your next steps? And then also, if you have been typing minutes for the meeting, like your own minutes of like who said what decisions were made, where we're going to go next, save your Word doc or your Excel doc as a PDF, right? Upload meeting notes, PDF, and then go here to choose file, right? Let's see if I have something here I can share. I'm not gonna save this, but so now it's attached it, right? And then I can just click Save Changes, and then that will take care of it. And so because this is not a real dialogue report, I'm going to discard my changes, but then you could keep working. So so don't let this screen intimidate you. Anything that you do in the database or the members area, you can undo. So you should feel free to experiment and try different things. And if at any point in the coming weeks and months ahead, if you have any questions, do let me know. I am here for you by phone and by email, and I will help you do what you need to do. So that is how to add notes, you know, from either a face-to-face meeting with a company or a call that you may have had. So Frank, I'll pass back to you.
Couple questions came in.
Sure.
Can a company change its filing deadline?
Not after it's been set. The company determines or picks a filing date every year, and then it mails it out to all shareholders. And so once it is committed to itself to that date, that's the date in effect for that year. But I mentioned they may change year to year. They do not vary much. It may be a day earlier or a day later or a couple of days earlier, but they always stay in roughly the same time frame. I don't recall seeing a company switch from like November to April.
Yeah, and I can add to that you can, the company typically will list the filing deadline for the next year in their proxy statement. So in their 2017 proxy statement, they will list the filing deadline for shareholder resolutions for the 2018 annual meeting. So that's at the back end of that proxy statement. And ICCR also tries to have a spreadsheet of filing on their website, and that's on their homepage. Then there was another question, what does ticker mean? I think that's the ticker symbol of the company.
Yeah, that's the ticker symbol. So that's the symbol it's under which it's traded on American public stock exchanges.
Yeah, so
and so it depends on, you know,
2 or 3 letter.
CBX, XON for ExxonMobil.
Right.
Yeah. And then this is, Frank had mentioned that ICCR puts together a spreadsheet of filing deadlines. So this is one of those here, right? So so you could, you know, if you're only following 1 or 2 companies, you may have those deadlines yourself, but we try to gather all the deadlines together every season, and, you know, we upload them and then update them on, you know, on this page.
Okay, Reg, you had a question. Can you unmute yourself and you can ask? Go ahead.
My question, Julie, is, and maybe you can do it on that box, anyway, I used to be able to go into the webinar, into the web page and put my organization and find out everything that we have filed, and I can't seem to do that now. And is there a way to do that?
There is a version that access my actions, right? Yeah. So I'm in the database as myself, so clicking this doesn't like show a lot, but you can access. So this would be actions, Reg, to which you have signed up for. You can also, though, I'm going to type you can also type, you know, the name of your organization and then hit return. So that's like all the Sinsanala actions, right? Also, one last thing.
Good, that's good.
And one other thing I will mention about these fields here, both the company name field, the filer field, text field. So we built this database ages ago, before Google was a thing. So, you know, if you're on Google and you type Coke, right, the company, actual legal company name is the Coca-Cola Company, right? And so Google will say, did you mean the Coca-Cola Company whenever you type Coke, right? But this database is literal. So you have to type Coca-Cola, right? If you type Coke, it's not going to find anything for you. So you don't have to type the full name, the Coca-Cola Company, but it can be partial, like Coca-Cola, right? But so long as you type something from the company name, and also the same thing with the filer name. If you type Cincinnati, right, it's going to give you everything to do with Cincinnati Dominicans and others. But if you do Cincinnati Dom or DOMS, DOMS, like if you were abbreviating or sort of doing a familiar form, it's going to be like, I have no idea what you mean. So you just have to remember that the database is literal.
Okay, Julie, what if we wanted to see everything, all the actions taking place at ExxonMobil?
So then I'm just going to, in the company line, just type Exxon, and there's not a lot going on right now, so I'll show you 2017's, right? So there's everything we did last season, but then if you just wanted to see everything we'd ever done at Exxon, you could do that too, right? So going back to like 91, so we've always been doing something forever with Exxon. It's our favorite company. 190 actions, most of these resolutions. 190. Oh, what a bad company.
Lot of love. Okay, other questions for Julie concerning either the database or the wealth of knowledge that's on the members area? I will say a couple things. One is the database is dated. It's older, and there is a project taking place to revamp this database to improve both its user friendliness as well as its features or functionality. So please use it, become familiar with it, and a better and more improved model is coming within a year. Second pitch I'll make is, please join an issue group that you're interested in. There's no commitment by joining. So go to the website, go to the Food Justice or wherever, and on the right-hand side, you can join the group, and all it does is it provides notifications and information to you as a group member. So it's, there's no obligations there. The same is true going to the database and signing up for a company/issue. So if you're interested in the 2-degree scenario at ExxonMobil, go to Exxon, go to their business 2-degree scenario action, and just sign up. And that way you are now participating in a work group, and you'll be notified of dialogues or resolutions that are being filed at that company. So I think that that's an easy way to get involved. Leading a company is the next level of getting involved, and then joining the leadership team of, say, a work group, say climate change or in methane or science-based targets. That's the next level. So you can get into the shallow end of the pool fairly easily without a lot of, time commitment. Any other questions before we jump over to Chris? Okay.
So
well,
I'm going to stop my share now, and then you can take it over, Chris, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Julie.
You're welcome.
Start sharing my screen. I have really 3 things today, but we'll start with really that, first of all, this is your website, and that as a website, we want to make it as strong of a tool as possible for your for supporting the work of the organization, which is your work. And really it comes down to the three things that I want to ask of you. One is, not right now, but after this meeting, give us some feedback about what you find on the website, what you'd like to see that's not there, what works really well, what needs revision. Two, ask you to share what's on the website. I'll show a little bit about how you can do that. And three, and these getting progressively a little more challenging, three, contribute to the website, giving us some more material that we can use on the website. So our basic website is seventhgenerationinterfaith.org, as you see up here. And much like any organization,
Chris,
we have, yeah.
your voice is breaking up. I'm not sure you can do anything about that. But it just, I would say take it slowly, but your voice is breaking up. Go ahead.
Sharing the screen, it's taking up more bandwidth than let me do then. I'll slow down then. So there are a handful of things on the website. Number one, many ways. And if you click that, it can take you to the mission statement, to the membership, key collaborative partners. Also about our work, and explains what work SGI is, as well as it shares here about the human thread. And then our issues, which we can have 7 buckets. In many ways, they're different, but you have those blog entries, resources are get to that particular, but those have a lot of really helpful, very tangible sorts of assets that we have. There's a donate page for those, and then a contact page. So a little bit we have prior to the last member meeting. I think that needs to be updated. And then for instance, at the bottom of each of those pages, you will find little, as I'm circling here with the icon, ways to share this. So you can, if you are involved in WordPress, you can WordPress it. If you use Twitter, it's there. If you use Facebook, it's available. If you use Google+, or even if you just simply want to like it, you can click like, and it will show you as having liked this page. Also, there is an option for how you can subscribe to on any one particular page. Since I'm already subscribed, I can't show you that feature quite so easily. Maybe going just to jumping over to the an overview of the issue, with a simple link. It's talking a little bit about SGI's engagement, and it includes a link here to our shareholder actions. Suspicion is as it's loaded, it's probably down my link. Here where you see a list of all the shareholder actions that SGI has been involved with, listed by company, topic, the filer, co-filer, and the outcome. And if you click the link here, you can see the actual resolution. And down below, we have other resources which are really helpful things drawn both from the ICCR website and a variety of other places that give important kind of primers to better understand these issues. Was again, including the latest from today that I put up, and eyebrows raising with that in it. This week, for instance, Father Mike Crosby received the ICCR Legacy Award with Sister Pat, and Father Dan Crosby there representing his brother. Social responsibility and responsible investment. We also have 2018 research, including the resolution filing deadline document that ICCR has prepared. And then under those further resources that are available on areas. And again, you can like or share those pages. Donate, we won't go further into that. But so part of then the first piece is trying to build a better website. And we need your feedback to do that. Brother Steve and I and others have been working on this. And your guidance, kind of remarks and help us improve this website so it serves our purposes better. Those purposes being both to inform you, the members, to inform the religious communities that you're a part of, and to inform and share with our allies what we're up to. So, way of kind of then sharing this work with others, if you want to share this from me onto Facebook, it's right into my Facebook account, and we'll put something here, for instance, friends, take a look at this post from SGI's website. And then something that's sometimes helpful is to add a hashtag to help people see what it might be about. And we'll say, we'll put pay disparity on that, for instance. A post, and any of my friends on Facebook would be able to see that. The other way of doing it is if you just simply take, for instance, the URL across the top here, and you hit Control copy, and then if you go in, and this is actually our SGI Facebook. From there,
Chris, as you use more applications, your voice gets choppier and choppier, so it's very hard to hear you speak. So maybe this is going to be more difficult showing the social media part.
Okay. I might just spot this because okay, but there are ways of doing this. I'll just post to and like after.
We're losing you completely, Chris. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry. You're not coming through at all now. So I think what it is as you start to move, share more of the website, you use up the bandwidth at the friary. That's unfortunate. It's not something you can fix.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I've got a little PowerPoint here. My suspicion is that will actually probably take up even more of our bandwidth. But I can share it with Frank as a PDF and as the PowerPoint to share it with others. Fundamentally, should we try it or should I avoid that?
I think if you take it slowly, you can give it a try. I'll let you know if it's chopped up.
However, if we would all close our cameras, that might help you.
My suspicion is it's probably on my end and how much I can send up.
Yeah, it's on his end. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so one of the things that sometimes these days the social media and the like has gotten to be a really aggressive and even violent sort of place, right? And yet we've got a chance to kind of help shape these through what we share in places like Twitter and Facebook. I imagine a good number of you actually have accounts in some of those mediums. And sometimes when you're there, all you might find will be like cat videos, which I had originally had one in, but Frank and I tested it and we saw that the bandwidth didn't permit it well, so I've got a static picture of a cat there. But we can talk about more important things, lest we speak least about that which matters most. And there are ways then that people have used social media to very effectively reshape conversations in the area of justice. One of those is DeRay McKesson. He was born back in '85. As a teenager, was organizing youth in Baltimore, became a teacher with Teach for America, and then a full-time teacher and an educational administrator. But he took time off to go to Ferguson for the marches that were there, and began to tweet and to curate stories through Twitter. And he's really one of the authors, if you will, behind the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Today he's got more than 1 million followers, and there are particular ways that he shared things through Twitter that has helped reshape narratives around these questions. The quote at the bottom concludes, "We didn't discover injustice in August 2014. We did have a different set of tools." So in our tools as SGI and as part of ICCR, we have shareholder resolutions and dialogues. And we also have tools in social media that, while those corporations we're in dialogue with, actually have social media teams that are well bigger than our annual budget. We can still help shape conversations by sharing important content around the issues we care about. So there are ways within which telling a story well can, again, change that story as it's more broadly seen in culture. Kind of about 5 things that I try and think about, even though I may not practice them as well as I'd like on social media. 1, we want to be affirmative and with a visual story. 2, we talk about values, problems, solutions, and actions. 3, give a clear call to action. 4, get out and engage. And 5, we want to have fun. So about the first then, an affirmative story. Some of this is from George Lakoff's work about framing stories, that we want to have positive framing. The first little bullet point there about affirmative story versus myth busting is that I have an aunt who shares a lot of Tea Party sort of content. And there are times where I want to argue with her about what she has and give her the right facts around questions. At the end of the day, that tends not to be terribly productive. And there are ways also when we frame a story, we might use language that does not necessarily advance our cause. There are questions around, for instance, the hashtag love trumps hate, because we create an association between Trump and love. But creating positive framing and focusing on the positive. Some of the things, keep in the background. Also, when we sharing with an image is so valuable and so important because it grabs eyeballs in a way that other things may not. I suspect all of you are familiar with these 3 images. 2 of them on the right are some of the most famous images of the last century, and the one on the left of a young Syrian child who drowned crossing over from Syria to Greece, or to Turkey rather, has captured our hearts just last year. The use of values, problems, solutions, and actions. One way to think about hashtags is that we want to underscore our values and our actions with hashtags. That's why Sanctuary Everywhere or Black Lives Matter get hashtags, because they're values. And then, like, some of the actions, take a knee, defend DACA, stop ICE cold, also work well when given hashtags in Twitter or in Facebook. And any kind of post we make in those things, we want to invite people to a clear call to action, making actions clickable. You might start with a low level of engagement, like share this post, like this post, please comment below, commit to attending, or even like I just did briefly before, please read this. And we want to think about it in a way that places the audience at the center of the post, help people see how they can act to make our country, our world a better place, make corporations a better place. We want to focus especially on one-to-one kind of communications in that. And over time, beginning to share the work of SGI with friends and with other organizations, and trying to draw other people to our work. And the best way to do that is as we keep it real, as we sound like real human beings, not something that's not ourselves. Again, social media is not a magic bullet. It's not going to solve our issues, but it's another tool that is important to complement the work that we're doing. It's another tool in organizing our efforts and of sharing those efforts with others and drawing others to engage in those efforts. And again, find a way that we are social about those things and bringing others into the work. I'll send this to, I'll make sure this is sent to you so that you can look at it with a little more time and detail. Then one last little thing, I found this quote from Maya Angelou. She was talking with David Chappelle after he had finished his show on Comedy Central and walked off the air after, even while in the midst of a huge contract. And her point to him was, you should be angry. You must not be bitter. Bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host. It doesn't do anything to the object. So use that anger. You write it, you paint it, you dance it, you march it, you vote it, you do everything about it, you talk it. Never stop talking it. And so those things that we're really passionate about, health, governance of corporations, the things we care about in terms of building a better world, we do by talking about it, by sharing, by working on these issues. And piece is also encouraging and inviting you to contribute. If there's an action or something that your community has been a part of, or an engagement with a corporation, just the thrill of presenting a resolution at an annual general meeting, writing that up for our blog is a really great way of sharing the news with others and encouraging others to engage in our work. For instance, Sue has here we go. Ring the bell. Be willing to take that step to help us to share these sorts of materials. It helps, or to prepare materials like that for us, it helps us in our mission. So the three things. Number one, after this, give us some feedback on the website. Tell us how you think it can better serve you and the mission of SGI. Two, we want to think about how we can share this with others, especially through social media. And three, if you would be so good as to help us contribute more to the content by writing some pieces that we can share. Maybe I'll break there and ask if there are questions about what I've said so far.
Right, so people can unmute themselves and ask the question or ask it through the dialogue box or the chat box.
I have a question about, you referred to posting an article. Does this article have to be written by the person who's posting it, or do you run into copyright if you post somebody else's article?
With Facebook, there's no issue around that because you're simply sharing a link, and if they click on that, it will actually take them back to the original article. So there are no issues around copyright on that.
I would say also, Ruth, if you wanted to, we very much invite you to post an article on our blog, on our website, to share with the coalition, with our coalition. So if you have something happening at the retreat center, or if your community installed solar panels, or if you met with a local Native American group, whatever it may be, please share it with the rest of us, and just send to to Steve Hero or to Chris a paragraph or two, and they will fill it out and post it. I think that's a way that we create this community amongst us, is we share what's happening in our own communities. And also you can, in answer to your question, you can also, if you read a very interesting article that is pertinent to our work, you know, so Tim has filed a resolution with We Energy. If you see something printed about We Energy that is pertinent to our work, you can post a leading paragraph and a link, or Steve will provide the link to that article. So, but it's a way of sharing within our community.
Yeah, we're here to help on that.
Thank you.
I think also Chris got cut off a little bit on the website. There's a lot of resources you can download from the 7th Generation website. And these resources will help you not only on our issues, but on the general question of how do we link our portfolio more closely with our values and mission. So dealing with socially responsible investing. There's resources there, and if you've come across a resource you'd like to share, send it to Steve or Chris to post it, and that way you can share it across our membership.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no closing questions, you could email questions to me or Chris, and we'll get the answers to you. But I hope you found this presentation interesting. Shoot to me your ideas on future topics. You know, for next year, I think we will have a capacity building on resolutions, how to file, and different technical issues around filing shareholder resolutions. We'll also have some capacity building around dialogues, how to have a good dialogue, how to plan for and moderate or facilitate a good company dialogue. Of course, with that, there's always the best learning tool is jumping in the pool, right? I look at Ruth now because she's been doing a lot of dialogues, and you learn as you go. And then the other thing, we'll do some issues. I think immigration is one that we want to focus on next year. There's the question, one on human trafficking and human rights in general. So there's several of, in climate change. I think all of these are hot issues for us that we'd like to learn more about. So tune in. We will advertise these and hopefully get them on your calendar early. And with that, if there's no other questions, I think we'll close this one. I appreciate you taking your lunch with us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.